For anybody with more than just a passing interest in the subject, the richest source of paranormal information can come from stately homes or the humble British pub.
Well, we did the investigation in Warners here in Accrington. There were certain situations in there that we felt that we'd overstepped the mark. And that wasn't my doing, it was people around us as well, and I feel they understood after the event that they'd overstepped the mark, and it's a learning curve, is communicating with good or bad spirits.
The person that we tried to contact before, if you're still with us now, male or female, please give us a response that you're here. You gave us what appeared to be a thudding noise before. I'm assuming that would be some form of spirit contact. Please do let us know you're still with us. Can you shout out your name for us again, please? Are you male? Or are you female? Please, we want to prove that you exist. Surely, if you know you exist, if there is a continuation after death of some form of existence, then please let us know.
You don't become an expert overnight, you have to learn off your experiences.
Not everybody that dies know the dead. So something could happen, like they could die in their sleep. So they go to sleep at night, the conscious mind shuts down and they die. Natural causes, but their subconscious mind carries on and they get up and they carry on doing all the things that they've always done, not realising that they've actually died. There was a case a few years ago in Liverpool, and a guy had gone out. Every Friday night this guy went out with his mates after work. They'd go to the same pub, have a few drinks, and then they'd all go home. On this one particular evening, this individual left the pub early and he walked outside and he was struck by a bus, killed instantly. The following Friday, all his friends go and do the same ritual, but this time they're toasting him, mourning him and all the rest of it. When he walks in, he physically walks in, all his friends see him, the barman sees him, everybody in the pub witnesses this person, and it's like a scene out of the Wild West where the stranger walks into the saloon and everybody stops, the piano player. Everybody stopped, and he's, speaking to them, and one of them just said, you can't be here, you died, you were killed last week. And he said, it's weird, it's been a strange week, everybody's been ignoring me. And he turns around and leaves, and he's gone, and they all run outside, and he's gone. But it's that sort of acknowledgement, oh, hang on, yeah, I'm dead, shouldn't be here. But because it was something that happened so quick, consciously, he's not sort of caught up with himself.
Their spirits either move on or they don't, or maybe they're back to a home or wherever why they don't want to move on, or they don't realize they're dead, which I think is rare occasions, because I've discovered, and this is where my focus has changed over the years, and this is why I prefer the term high strangeness, is that it's not all ghosts. It's not all the spirits of people who have died. There is a lot of other phenomenon going on sometimes that's misinterpreted as the ghosts of a human being that's still hanging around.
We're back to the original venue that we started at, and the reason being is that last time we had Mary here, and Mary came out with a lot of things, but we need to cross-reference that and see whether or not John, the medium we're using this evening, comes up with the same kind of information. So let's find out what happens.
This is the room where the hanging took place. Oh, you've been disturbed at night in here, because it's almost if, and I don't think it's this man. I think it's a woman who's, and I can see her leaning over the bed, almost as if to see whether you were breathing or not. Have you felt that sort of sensation? Because I can see her doing it.
Yeah, I've seen lots of things in here. I've felt people lie in my bed twice, 3 times. I have often woke up with somebody with their hand around my neck.
No.
So things like that do happen in here.
When you say you had someone with your hands around your neck, you're talking about like in an affectionate way or in a
A hard way,
right.
a violent way, really.
Right. Okay.
You think about pubs, right? Let's say these old dears, they go in the pub, they've been in that pub for 30, 40 years, sat at that certain point all their life, and then all of a sudden they just die of natural causes or whatever. You know, I think they can relate to this pub where they've basically lived a life really through this pub. You know, sat in that certain chair in a pub. You know, we've been into some certain pubs and we've gone to like sat in certain corners and you felt the energy. And then you go and sit somewhere else and you're not feeling that energy. But then you go back into that corner, you're feeling that energy. So maybe that energy was someone that spent 30, 40 years of their life in that pub.
Okay, but at the top level, as is rather obvious by these rafters and what have you, this is the attic area. What are you getting? Anything?
When I first walked in, I picked up imprisonment.
Imprisonment.
I didn't pick anything up, it was just imprisonment I picked up. I'm trying to tune into I'm picking an elderly gentleman up in this corner here.
Right.
Didn't have many teeth in his head. And for some reason he's shackled.
Lots of people have passed through them over the years. They're very old properties. Pubs, it was the life and soul of everybody's lifestyle. That's where you ended up every night. That's the only thing they had. So there'd be lots of deaths, fights, negativity, positivity, laughs and jokes. There's a lot of energy in these places.
Some of them I think are attached to buildings. There is the stone tape theory. So if there's been a particularly traumatic experience in a place, it can be that emotion that's released can be somehow replayed, but only in that space because that's where it's concentrated.
They can relate to that place, they spent that much time there. Maybe that's their spirit, their soul clinging to something in this life, maybe.
And same with pubs, you know, maybe old landlords and even before that it could be a spirit from what was there before it was the pub rather than it from being from the pub.
What's actually happened is Ellen's has taken a little bit of time out because she felt as though it was a very, very oppressive, menacing kind of atmosphere in here. Now, you actually work here, so you're familiar with these rooms. Can you tell us anything about this particular room as to why Eleanor would have been feeling like she is at the minute?
Yeah, coming into this room, just always had a bad atmosphere. I can't breathe now walking into this room.
Right.
Breathing's restricted. Feelings in my tummy as if something's moving around in my tummy.
Yeah.
My breathing is really restricted in here. It's like a feeling of panic. When you're going to have a panic attack,
Right.
same feeling. It affects not just coming over the door, but within the corridor. Within this corridor here, we've seen shadows being up here. I actually brought a friend up and a dark shadow, broad daylight, a dark shadow walked between the both of us really quick. It shocked him. He said, "Did you see that?" We've seen it. I was quite shocked because it was during the day. We've only ever seen the shadows at night.
Yeah.
So it was quite shocking to see during the day, but this room, my legs are shaking now.
How long have you worked here?
Just over a month I've worked here at this premises.
Right. Well, it's certainly been a very interesting night yet again. This part of the building where we stood at the moment has been the most significantly interesting part because the mediums that we used, and bear in mind that the mediums on this investigation had not met each other before and they hadn't been to this particular location. In fact, we didn't even know we were coming to this particular location, but stood where I am at the moment, both of them had an issue with this room. They didn't want to go into this room. They both sensed that there was a fire around here somewhere, and evidence has been proved to us that that did actually happen just to the back of this room. They both also picked up on a gentleman
that had emotional problems, perhaps even committed suicide. Both of the mediums picked up on that, which I find to be very, very significant.
Back in the late 80s, I was in my late teens at the time, and I was working behind a bar in a private members club in a town called Accrington, which is in East Lancashire. The building isn't there anymore, it was actually burnt down a number of years ago. But it was a really interesting building. It was built in about 1890. It was the old Conservative club in Accrington. And one particular evening, I was working behind the bar on the ground floor. There were three floors, three bars on each floor. And I was working behind the bar, and there was nobody in. The place was completely empty. And it was in the days where we used to close up about 10 o'clock during the week. And to my left, where I was stood in the bar, there was a sort of serving hatch opening about sort of 4 foot by 4 foot square into a snooker room, and there were 3 big full-size snooker tables in there, 12 by 6 foot snooker tables, so you can imagine it was quite a big room. And as I was stood, I noticed, I had my back to the bar, and I noticed to my left something moving in the serving hatch, and I immediately thought, well, it was somebody who'd come in through the side door, and they'd come to the serving hatch and they wanted serving, drink. So as I turned and looked and started to walk towards the serving hatch, I noticed that there was actually this very tall, thin, dark, shadowy figure was actually stood in the snooker room on the other side of the serving hatch, and it was sort of leaning forward and looking through the serving hatch towards me. Now, it's only after that I've sort of done some research over the years. At the time, it just seemed like a really strange incident, and I obviously thought when I was looking at it, it was a ghost. But I've done some research over the years, and it sort of fits the bill of what people now call a shadow man or a shadow figure. So what happened was, this figure was looking through the serving hatch at me, and it was obviously quite a scary incident. And then it just suddenly disappeared. It just went from view. And it was in the days before we had mobile phones, and we had an internal phone system in the club. And I knew that the only other person in the club was the steward, and he was up on the 3rd floor. So I picked up the phone, the internal phone, dialed upstairs, and I said, I think you need to come downstairs, something really strange has happened. So about 30 seconds later, he came through the door, and he looked at me and he said, blimey, he said, you look like you've seen a ghost. And I said, well, strangely enough, I think I just have. And he said, oh, you've seen it as well, have you? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, did you see, was it like a sort of very tall, thin, shadowy figure in the snooker room? And I said, yeah, that's exactly what I saw. And he said, oh, I've seen it quite a few times. And he said, we've also had members of bar staff who've worked here over the years who've seen it. And most of them just put the coat on and leave and never come back.
One case I've worked in Gloucestershire, so we're talking about a hotel, that was around before the Tudors. Some of the hauntings there are these black-eyed, so she'll look like a beautiful woman, but her eyes will be completely black. And that to me is a bit terrifying, because you can tell the intention of something through its eyes. So if it's cloaking its eyes like that, it's bad. Nothing bad had ever happened in the building itself, and there were different kinds of phenomena going on. So one of them was that the door handle had turned continuously all of the time. One guy refused to work nights because he said something was following him down the corridors and things like that. A number of staff reported things happening in the hotel, even when it closed down, because it closed down for a long period of time. So there's something in that hotel or below the ground where it is that's either emitting this energy or attracting it in some way. And it tells me if we're seeing dark-eyed things, that there's some negativity going on there. The old Tudor building, we could be talking about somebody who's been beheaded or thrown into a nobilette or something like that. They're down there in a dungeon, and we just haven't bothered about them for a few hundred years, and they're damn angry about it, you know. And then they see us swanning about in all our, you know, lovely clothes, and they just think, you can't even see me. They get frustrated the same way that me and you get frustrated. If they're trying to get a point across and you're completely blanking them, that activity is going to ramp up. So you're going to see things around the bed, the lights are going to flash. He's trying to get your attention, and we're taught as human beings to explain that away.
I feel the attachment comes to the property, like you said, the replay. They enjoyed life there. They don't want to leave. Some spirits definitely don't want to leave a house. No matter how you want them to cross over, they love it there. They love that replay of life over and over. They don't want to move on. Other spirits want to make mischief, want people to be in fear of them, want to scare people, and they enjoy it. And I've been in investigations where there are spirits like that enjoy scaring you, enjoy doing things to you.
Come on, tell us about him. Tell us how much of a low life he was. Because, come on, Billy, if you were a murderer, surely you'll accept the fact that you must have been a low life. That's how people would have viewed you. It's what people would think you are.
They may have been a bully in life. They may have got reactions from being aggressive and being intimidating. And in the spirit world, what's different? Now you can't see them. They can do more to you, in effect, if they can feed off your energy.
Well, thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And if you'd like to join in the debate, feel free to leave a comment below. Until next time, I'm Roy Bassnett, and this has been our Unexplained World.